I'm Eric Martin here with Melodic Noise Media, and I'm sitting in with our amazing local band VIAL today. Would you guys all mind going around and telling us your names, pronouns, and your parts in the band?
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. My name is Taylor. I use she, they pronouns, and I play the guitar and I sing a little bit in the band.
I am KT. I use they, them pronouns, and I play guitar and I also sing a little bit.
My name is Kate. I use they, them pronouns, and I play bass and I sing and yell a little bit.
And my name is Katie, and I play the drums, and my pronouns are she, they. And I also sing a little bit too.
Lots of singing. Love to hear it. Thank you all again for joining us. Let's just start things off by asking how your day's going.
My day has been very busy and very stressful, but I'm happy to be here. Being with the band is the most de-stressing thing in my days usually. So
Usually.
sometimes there's some stuff to do and it gets real stressful, but today is not one of those days.
Great.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well today. I haven't done much. I took a shower. That's about it.
Doing pretty good. Just spent the day cleaning and hanging out.
I'm doing pretty good. I just finished writing an essay, so I don't have to write that essay anymore, which is really cool.
Wonderful. What was that essay on? If you don't mind me asking.
It was an interesting topic. I'm in a class called Sexuality and Culture, and we had to pick a sexual, cultural something. So I chose to analyze WAP by Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. So that's what my essay was about.
Wow, I feel like we could spend this whole time just like talking about that essay, and it would be fantastic. But let's talk about you guys. We're sitting here because we're on the precipice of Loudmouth coming out. Exciting! I've heard it. It's great. It's really good. It's
Thank
a
you.
step up, and I'm excited to chat with you all about it and learn more about the songs and what went into them. But first, let's get a little background on the album. So, previously, you released Grow Up, your last project, with Brace Cove Records. How did working with Get Better Records come about now that you're releasing Loudmouth with them?
Yeah, we started working with our managers, Heather's Artist Management, last summer, and they helped introduce us to Get Better. And we spent a couple of weeks talking to like different labels, sending out demos, kind of going through that whole process. And we just really, sorry, my voice is froggy, really ended up vibing a lot with Get Better and Alex and everybody that works there. And so we decided to sign with them, and it's been 2 thumbs up.
Awesome. Yeah, I've heard you guys talk a lot in the past about building strong relationships in and around your music scene and this music scene, and working with people that you find supportive of what your images and what your message is and what your art is trying to say. How would you say that? Excuse me, it's all the smoke in the air. How would you say Get Better has helped promote the message that you guys are trying to set forth with your music?
I think we both have very similar outlooks about the music industry, and that we would both like it to be more community based and more inclusive, and more uplifting of marginalized voices. So I honestly think it was very natural for us to kind of platform their messaging and us to platform, or in them to platform our messaging with Loudmouth. It was just really natural, I suppose, because we both kind of look for the same thing in the music industry, which is just a little bit more inclusion and kind people.
Can't argue with that. So now, like I said, Loudmouth is coming out. You guys have been doing some promotion for this over the last few months to get ready for it. There's been some really exciting stuff with songs and videos coming out. You've got a show coming up, which we'll touch on later. What has been some of the most exciting parts of promoting this record compared to trying to promote in the past when you maybe have more of a following now and more of a chip on your shoulder to try and elevate yourself past previous works?
I feel like with these songs, we've spent so much time and effort into getting them the way that we like them, the way that we want them, versus our first album, Grow Up. We sort of just we're like, oh, we need songs. And so then we wrote a bunch and just released it because we were like, we need songs out in the world. But with this album, we've taken a lot of time to spend a lot of time with the songs, getting them just the way we want. So I think it's really exciting, or more exciting for me, to release these songs versus the older ones, because I think they're really good and I want other people to hear them and enjoy them as much as I do.
Definitely feel the same way. I think it's very exciting, releasing music to a larger audience. Like when we released Grow Up, when we released it, the day of, not a lot of people were listening, but compared to the singles that we've put out so far, I don't know, it's just exciting to see the amount of engagement that we have been getting now.
Yeah.
So speaking into the music of Loudmouth, again, I've heard it, fantastic, and I don't want to give away too many of the surprises because there are definitely some surprises for what's in store, but it seems like there is more of this intentionality in the songs, and that they're a little bit more cooked through than your previous songs. So I'd love to dig into that and try and pick apart the different spices and flavors that are really going in here, because there's a lot of super cool things that are happening that I'm finding, and I just want to hear about what you all think are some of the key ingredients that make this a more intentional project.
I think the biggest thing, Kate, I'll let you, I saw you going for the unmute. I think the biggest thing for me was that it was a lot more collaborative. The first one, we kind of just wanted something to be out there so that people could have something to listen to. Because we were playing some shows, we were we want to have something out there for people to consume, I suppose, after the show is over. So we just kind of threw together that record, and it's charming in its own worth because of that. However, we spent so long on this record, literally, I think 1.5 years writing it. And then fleshing it out with our producer. It was a lot more collaborative. And then, Kate, you got it. You got it, Kate.
Yeah, I mean, Taylor said a lot of things that I was going to say. But yeah, we really had time to just stew with it. Some of the songs on the album are older than some songs on Grow Up. So it has been in the works in that sort of way for pretty much the entirety of VIAL as a band. So it's really uplifting and awesome to put it out there finally. Just there it is. Years. Now we can say we've worked up years worth of work on something, and it's just a really good feeling to be able to say that and present it. And so, yeah.
Would it be fair then to say that Grow Up was put out to serve the live show, whereas Loudmouth is being put out to serve the music, essentially, in and of itself? Is that a fair take on that?
I would say so, just because when we were recording those songs, we threw in so many extra little thingies and extra parts that we don't really have a way of playing live unless we have more instrumentalists with us. but we put them in there anyway because we thought they sounded cool and good. So yeah, I think we thought less about what works live and more about what we want to hear in the song.
Yeah, again, there are so many of these little bits and pieces that just like, catch your ear about throughout Loudmouth that don't really come through on Grow Up. How do you intend to handle this in live shows going forward? Because it's a very different thing to leave a studio and have that studio be an instrument in and of itself and no longer have that environment to play with.
At least for our first live performance back, we have brought on a lot of instrumentalists to help us out. So we have a second guitarist for like the first time ever. We have like a trumpet player and more fun stuff to come. Yeah. So I don't know what we're gonna do for like future live shows after that, but for our first one back, we wanted to like, I don't know, make it as big as possible.
Bring the full team.
Yeah.
And again, we'll mention this later on at the end, but the show is next Friday, correct? Very exciting. No? Oh,
Next Saturday,
Next
July
Saturday.
31st.
I'm sorry. I apologize, but
You're good.
So turned
Album's
around.
out on Friday, though.
yes, the album's out Friday. The show's Saturday. It's going to be a very packed weekend. Very exciting. So digging back into the songs of Loudmouth, there's a few things that, again, caught my ear that I want to maybe pick your brain on and, shut me up if I'm way off track and this is all just like projecting my own, like, inner demons on what I'm hearing. But I noticed, so you guys have definitely talked a lot about how, childhood, transition to adulthood, and themes of nostalgia have been a big part of the work you've put out. I mean, your first project was called Grow Up. That's makes it pretty apparent that that is something that's on your mind and in the music. I noticed listening through Loudmouth that the very first three songs of the track, or of the album, sort of work as a mini suite, at least in my mind, of addressing childhood. The first song, Ego Death, has this kind of carnivalesque sounding tune to it, and then Violet follows up with a line where it says, "You make me feel like I'm a kid again," and then following that is Planet Drool, which starts out with a playground chanting sort of game. So in my mind, when I hear the record, that is three songs that serve as a suite of childhood. Then that theme is kind of lessened throughout the remainder of the album, and we end with three songs in a row that are, in title and in theme, more directly mature in the sense of, like actual aging in life. We have a song, is it Vodka Lemonade, and then Addict, and then 21 closes out the album. Very harsh dichotomy there that I picked up on. Is that something that was intentional, or is that something that, again, I'm just projecting on in this chronology of what Loudmouth is?
I don't think it was intentional, but pretty cool that you said it. A little intentional. Taylor, do you want to hop in here?
At least like having some of the more like songs about like being mature, because I personally was writing a lot of lyricism off of specifically Grow Up, the song's lyricism in the first record. I just thought that that was a very compelling subject matter, and it's very relevant to everybody. I mean, everybody's aging. So specifically like Vodka Lemonade and 21, personally, I was like pretty insistent on them being at the end of the record just because it kind of felt like it was us like closing the book, at least on that, or at least for the record, closing the book on We Did Grow Up. But yeah, I don't think like the childlike stuff at the beginning was like on purpose, but that's sick that happened.
Maybe I'm just really repressed and immature, and so I key into that. Uh, but I think it goes back to what a lot of people really love about your music, which is a lot of just sort of visceral, immediate emotion that is something that is so based to who we are from the beginning of our lives, and working through the healthy processing of that as you get to a point in life where you can't just sit on the playground and play these games and call people out and feel angry for angry's sake. There has to be something more to that, and there has to be at least a reason for that. um let's talk about Roadkill. How does that feel? How does that song feel to play when it's just the four of you in a room together practicing or recording or jamming? I just have to know, like, it's such it's such a empowering song in the sense that, it makes me and the people I've showed it to just want to go ham and go ape shit and just feel liberated. How does it feel for you guys to have written that and be the ones dictating that power outward?
Ooh, I'm sorry. I have a quick story about the way it feels to play that song. After we'd pretty much written it, we usually write it without drums at the start. Like, we write it not playing instruments, or just playing like guitar or something like that.
Is that most songs? That's how you write?
We write in a few different ways.
Okay.
Roadkill was written mostly collaboratively, at least the lyrics were. But the first time that we added drums was like the best feeling in the world. Like, there's sometimes where the drums, like, it's difficult for me to feel like the groove of the song and what type of drums will fit well. But Roadkill, it was just like immediate. Like, you could feel exactly what it needed. And when we played it all together, I think we all looked at each other like, this is sick. Like, this is such a cool song. KT, what were you going to say?
Just that.
I think I can speak for a lot of your fans that it makes us also feel that way in some part. Love the song, and I can't wait for everybody else to hear all the great other songs on the album. You talk about how, Katie, how when you finally put that in, it just clicked. It was obvious. It was what elevated the song from from good to great. Are there other parts on this album where there was one small part, one small chord change, or one small instrument addition that just transformed a piece of this album?
What came to my mind immediately when you said that was the song Planet Drool. We added in a synth over the whole thing, and we've never really done that before. It was inspired by the OBGMs, if you know that band, their song Beat Up Kids. It was inspired by that. They have this synth going through the whole thing. And when we added that in, it really like elevated the song to a new level. So it was really exciting.
Sorry, lost the mouse. I also have one, vodka lemonade for me. We had been playing it for a while, like in live shows pre-COVID, and we just hadn't fully fleshed it out yet. And we had this little like breakdown section, and we didn't really know what to do with it. We knew we wanted a solo of some type there, and I can't remember who threw it out, but somebody threw out trumpet, and then it was Katie. Katie threw out trumpet and knew a trumpet player, and just hearing that solo for the first time, like, completed the song, and it was a really cool moment.
So we've touched on some of these things that I've maybe alluded to, some of these surprises that really elevate this album for me. The trumpet and the synth are two key parts of that. Thinking about Loudmouth as a whole and thinking about your interests in music as a whole, you've talked a lot about love for punk, riot girl stuff, emo stuff, and I've even read some things where you guys have talked about like your boy band crazes back in the day. What is maybe some other influences on this album that aren't as obvious if you're coming to VIAL as a punk band or a emo band or a indie rock band?
KT showed us Sydney Gish while we were recording the album, and I know personally that was very inspiring, despite us not having a lot of music that sounds Sydney Gish adjacent, I suppose.
For me, there's a couple of jazz influences. So the trumpet player that I know, her name's Beatrice. She's the one who wrote the solo. She's mainly a jazz trumpeter. So I think she's like majoring in jazz performance or something like that. But she brought a little bit of jazz to Vodka Lemonade, and then in Thumb, the drum beat that I use is a little jazz inspired. I think it fit the song pretty well.
Let's talk about Thumb then, because that's the song on the album that I have spent the most time thinking about over the last week or two. Because I love it, but there's something about it that I just can't put my finger on, and I don't know what it is. So you bringing up that jazz influence really, gets my gears turning. But can I just pick your brain and just get some more understanding on what was going through all of your heads as you were writing that song and as you were recording it as well, to see if I can maybe come to terms with what it is I'm so fascinated by in that song?
So I wrote Thumb, like lyrics and chords and everything, long time ago when I was in kind of a not so great relationship, and I was singing about like an unrequited love of like another person that you just like can't have. And I don't know, it was like one of the most personal and like, it was like the most personal song I had wrote up to that point. And I don't know, I put a lot of love into that song. I don't know what else to say about it. It is very jazzy. The chords are like, I've never seen the chords that I wrote for myself like played before. And so I don't know. It's very fun. I love that song.
It also has the guitar solo, and yeah. I just think that that's a very special moment.
Yeah.
That's all I had to say.
For those of you who have not been as lucky as I am to already hear the song, it's a very endearing solo. I love it. It's, again, just one of those songs that just gets in your head and doesn't leave. Talking some more about Loudmouth and going back to grow up and how you've progressed. How do you guys feel, and what was the decision like to have essentially a sequel to Therapy on this album? I guess, are the two songs, are they really sequels, or are they just sort of different vignettes and other lives that happen to have the same name? Is that, I guess what's going on there?
Yeah, so Therapy Part 2 was a song that really went on a journey and was about something completely different. Like the instrumental part, we had a completely different set of lyrics for them. And we decided to rewrite it a couple weeks before we went and recorded it. And we decided to kind of follow along in the lines of Therapy Part 2. They're not about the same people, but it's a similar situation. Just like, having a friendship or a romantic relationship or anything, and they are just taking and not giving. And, those are very unfortunately common. And so we decided to follow it up.
Wonderful. Well, I'm glad it's part of this album because it's a great addition. Stepping away from the music a little, but kind of keeping on that same track. Therapy is it's a very big part of personal, mental, and emotional health. Music itself is such a powerful outlet for that as well. But just trying to get to know you all as individuals outside of music. What are some things that really keep you grounded and keep you sane and healthy and happy?
My cat.
Would
Yeah,
you
I
like
was
to
about to say my pets too.
Would you like to introduce us to any of them?
The loud cat was Mimi. Here, I'll fill the space while people get their animals. Oh, there.
Kate is going to grab Junie right now. Their cat.
This is Omi, and she does not like being held.
This is Junie. He enjoys being held.
Yes, and he's mad.
He's a little upset.
Beautiful. I love it. This is great. This is great. Take a screenshot. It's so fun. What else outside of your pets, you guys? Y'all have any hobbies that we might not suspect out of you?
I love embroidery. I do like embroidery stuff.
I sometimes knit, but it's not very frequently.
I've been really big into anime over quarantine.
Me too. I am a computer science major, so I do quite a bit of coding.
Watching Hell's Kitchen.
Oh,
I have been like obsessed with Hell's Kitchen for like the past month, and I've gotten through like 5 seasons. It's great. Love that show.
I've been watching a lot of Star Trek. I watched all of the Next Generation, and now I'm on to Deep Space Nine, and it's really good.
Sounds like the next album is gonna have some pretty wild influences. Oh.
The next album's actually, well, the next collection is actually like well underway, and it is pretty consistent, which is a first for VIAL. And I'm personally very excited to start recording again.
Not to take the spotlight off of Loudmouth, but would you care to give any further insight into that? This is exciting, and I'd obviously not heard that before, so I'd love any little tidbits for our watchers and listeners to, get excited about, because, after next week, what do we have to look forward to?
It's fucking sad.
It's sad. It's a little bit slower. We still got some upbeat tunes in there, but it's less punk.
A little bit more indie rock aligned, like something more in Rough and Grow Up and some of the songs on Loudmouth.
Awesome. Well, can't wait to hear that. Probably going to write about it too. maybe we'll talk again. If I don't put my foot in my mouth deep enough for you guys to come run me over this time. So, speaking of which, next question. Just so I know, what cars do you all drive? Just so I can be on the watch.
I drive a 2013 Dodge Dart that breaks down every other week.
I'm not going to tell you because I want to keep you on your toes.
I drive a Saab 9.5, and I'm really cool because I can drive a stick shift.
So cool.
Taylor's car literally broke down the day Roadkill came out. It constantly is breaking down. I drive a Toyota RAV4, and it's bright blue.
Love RAV4s, big fan, fantastic car. So I'm always watching for RAV4s. So if it's bright blue, I'm gonna run.
Okay, I will actually tell you. It's a
Yes.
Saturn, 2009 Saturn Aura, with what looks to be 2 bullet holes in my window.
Is there a story there, or is
There
it
is.
okay?
There is. Somebody was trying to break into my car using like a screwdriver or an ice pick or something, and I heard them outside of my window, but I was like too lazy and comfortable to like go look out my window and see what was going on. But they didn't get in because there's protective glass on all of my windows and windshields, and so now it just looks like there's 2 bullet holes. It's very fun. I get asked a lot of questions about it.
Very, very, very on brand. So, Taylor, if you don't mind me asking, what is this you've brought to the video?
This is the band's son. His name is Beelzebub. He is a long Furby with a crunchy spine, and I handmade him myself.
Okay, I thought you guys singing Roadkill was the scariest thing I'd ever heard. That's the scariest thing I've ever heard.
He actually comes with us at all of our live shows. He snakes around the usually the middlemost microphone, and he stares at the audience the whole show.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've not had the chance to see you. I was hoping to see you all with Origami Angel back right before the pandemic. I got there early before the show, and it was already at capacity. Luckily, I just hung around outside in time to see Origami Angel and Nice. So I did hear you all from the porch. It was fantastic, but I did not get to see. So I'm very, very excited to finally get back and get to see you guys because it sounded great from upstairs. So.
Hell yeah. Thank you.
Are you coming to the Fine Line show?
I'm hoping to. I have the option to. I might have some personal things I have to take care of, but we'll see. I'm really, 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 really hoping to. Honestly, I'm hoping to hit pretty much a show every night for the next week because first I have the Fine Line entry. Got so many great local events lined up. It's been a massive, massive, massive curse, but having come out of this era, this phase of the pandemic, and seeing First Avenue take advantage of it by just booking so many local acts has been really cool to see. Any of you guys going to any of the shows coming up other than your own?
I'm going to the Scrunchies, Allergen, and I always butcher this name, so let me just look it up before I mess it up. Wanna Bianca. Yeah, I'm going to their show tonight at like 9, and I'm very excited.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good one. I'm going to the dance party next door in the main room, and I think I'm gonna try and see if I can cross over back and forth all night. But tickets are going fast, so if you want to get there, get tickets now. Anyone else got any good shows coming up?
September. I am sorry, Katie. We are all seeing Mannequin Pussy and Pink Shift.
Oh yeah.
And Angel Dust.
So excited for that show.
What a lineup.
I was going to say that I am unfortunately in school, so I think we don't plan out going to shows ahead of time a lot. Normally the shows we get a chance to go to are the ones that we're in, but we usually have a really cool lineup, so we get to see Dad Bod and Bugsy and Gully Boys at the Fine Line, which is going to be really cool.
So you're talking about going to shows together, and obviously you all play together, write together. What are some other things you do as a group outside of just music?
Well, oh, sorry, Taylor. I was just going to say, Kate and I live together. So we do a lot of just like, I don't know, chilling, watching TV.
Spending every waking moment together through a global pandemic.
We'll have potlucks sometimes. Potlucks are nice.
We also just like hang out, the four of us. Like, if we've like with the potlucks and like we've scheduled things to be rehearsals and then something really stressful happened and we were like, well, this is no longer a rehearsal. Let's get ice cream. And so that's always fun.
Fun. So we briefly mentioned it a couple of times now. Don't really want to talk about it because it's such a bummer and it's all anybody talks about. But yeah, COVID, the pandemic. What's been the biggest thing to get you guys all through the pandemic over the last year?
This might sound really lame, but like social media has been super helpful. It's kind of like what has gotten us to our current point was just like we got really bored without having shows, so we just started making like a bunch of social media content, and there was a lot of people who really resonated with it, and so we have a fun little community group of friends that we can share music with now, and everyone's really sweet. Feeling very lucky. But yeah, that was very entertaining and even like stressful and overwhelming at times during the pandemic, but it definitely kept me personally occupied.
I think on more of a personal level, working on this album and having it be something to look forward to and work on was really helpful for me. And then that's also like consistent seeing friends, which was also really good.
Yeah, I am also surprisingly going to go with VIAL has kept me sane through this pandemic. But echoing on what Katie said, seeing friends, like these 3 people and like 3 to 5 others now that things have lifted a little bit are the only people outside of my like biological family that I've seen in a year and a half. So I couldn't have done it without them. And yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I think what Katie said, like having something to work on and look forward to with Loudmouth and everything, that was really helpful. It kept me from, doing nothing.
I might have to get going. It was absolutely lovely chatting with you. Y'all have fun. Is it all good if I... Yay, all right.
Thank you so much, Taylor. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening. Hopefully we'll see you next weekend. And have a great night.
Yes, thank you so much. Have a great night.
Oh, that's weird. It changes our screen a bit. Nice. Okay. Well, I'm glad I got her car make and model before she left. So I've got you all 4 now. So I'm safe. Getting back to what we were just talking about, it's very clear that the four of you have an exceptionally strong relationship, and your relationship for each other is something that shines through so clearly in the music. Taylor also mentioned, over the last year or so, building a bit of a community through TikTok online. How do you guys feel about your relationship with your fans, and what would you want to say about your fans on sort of an emotional level outside of the music that you deliver to them?
I am just forever grateful that we have anybody listening to our music. But I don't know. We have a lot of young fans, and it's really, really, really cool to see messages that we get from them, just saying that we like inspired them in some way or helps them through a hard time. And that's really, really heartwarming. And for me, music has always been about, as long as one person in the world can listen to what I create and like get something out of it and be happy with it, then I'm like set. So it's really cool to see a multitude of people enjoying my music, our music.
Yeah, I'm going to second that and say that it's very cool. I think the social media aspect of it has made it like a lot easier to like talk more, like in like comments of videos and like stuff like that, and just like the messages that people send us. We just have like a couple hundred like Instagram DMs that are just usually the nicest things ever. There's one of just somebody drunkenly singing therapy. But it's really great. I love that one because they left a comment on our TikTok like 2 weeks before they sent the message, and they were like, I think I'm gonna call them and drunkenly sing one of their songs to them on Instagram Messenger. And they did, and we heard it. So like, mission accomplished. Great stuff.
That's awesome. Talking about social media, I've talked with a lot of artists that I've talked with or personally know or seen on social media, and they've felt like over the last year and a half, it's sort of been very difficult to feel like you're the only thing you can do for your brand right now is to be engaged online, and you have to do that constantly. Otherwise, in this era, especially in the pandemic, when our memories are so short and getting shorter and shorter due to all of this and trauma going around us, it becomes work for a lot of people, and it becomes not what they had thought being in a band was. You guys seem to be having some fun with it. You all seem to enjoy it at least more than some other people I've spoken with or heard from. How do you guys approach social media as a whole, and TikTok in particular, to make it not feel like a chore?
Yeah, so when we first started doing TikToks, we had no expectation that anyone would see them. We were just sort of doing them because they were fun. But then the algorithm kind of picked them up sometimes, and we gained a bunch of followers, and we were like, oh, this is crazy. And because there was no live shows, and social media is just like pretty much our only way to interact with our followers or people who like our music, I think definitely got caught up in the algorithm numbers game, and it definitely took a toll on our mental health. But once we were able to recognize that, we sort of decided, like, promotion's great, but not at the cost of mental sanity. So we've sort of tried to still make things that we enjoy, things we think are funny or fun, and I think we've been doing a pretty good job as of late.
Great. That's great to hear that you've been able to recognize and reflect on those emotions towards it and find a more equitable balance of, you know, it being a part of something that you are doing as a band, but also it being something that you're doing because you like to do it and you like to goof around with your friends. So that's, you know, it's really important to get to, and I think it's a tough balance to come to. So I'm happy for you all to hear that. You know, it hasn't become this massive drain on your lives that you dread every day. So that's good. I, I'm winding down here. Sorry, Andrew Melodic Noise, our head of Melodic Noise, just said in the private chat between me and the band, and he asked VIAL to teach him his social media ways. And I found that quite funny because I am not a social media person myself, and I think, you know, to him it's also something that is very much something that you need to do to be a part of the ecosystem these days. Anyways, I want to sort of start wrapping up here. I've wasted a lot of your nights already, and it sounds like KT, you've got some exciting stuff going on this evening, so I want to make sure you're all prepped and ready for that, and have enough time to get ready. So, you know, last thing I want to touch on is, again, show's next Saturday. Loudmouth comes out Friday. Super, super hyped. We touched on it maybe a little bit, that you've got something else in the pipeline, but is there anything other than just the album and the show that you want to promote, shout out before we start to sign off?
Yeah, I think those are our big two. But actually, I forgot it. I'm so sorry.
Order some merch. Support us in that way too. We've got vinyls and hoodies and t-shirts and pins and stickers and many more fun things. So go check that out.
All right, and then lastly, is there anybody you want to shout out, give thanks to, co-sign, give props to before we end this?
Thank you, Taylor, even though you're not here.
Just a lot of love for everybody who's helped us make this album. Specifically, like Get Better Records. They're fantastic. They're putting out some of the greatest, like, excluding us. We're great. Not saying that we're not, but like they have just like a consistently amazing roster and putting out a bunch of cool stuff. Yes, and yeah, our managers, Heather Artist Management, and just like Gully Boys, Dad Bod, and Bugsy were excited to play the show. That's what I've got.
All right, well, Kate, KT, Katie, Taylor, thank you all so much. This has been an absolute treat. I am so blessed that I've had the album for a week or two now, and I've been racking up the plays. Can't wait to stream it on Spotify so you can get your 0.0001 cent per play. And just best of luck to you all. Can't wait to see what's in the future. Thank you all so much, and have great nights.
Thank you so much.
Have a good one.